Hello, sculpture class. So at the hardware store, you have different colored electrical tape. I'm gonna get a few. You can get just black if you want. But yeah, it's usually in your electrical section of a large chain hardware store. There you go. Even better, I was able to find a very inexpensive collection. It's not as much of electrical tape, so definitely I recommend doing that instead of spending $6, each. But do what you need. The hardware store also has other binding tools. Binding materials like these cable ties as well. And sure, you could use that as well. Up to you. So finding materials is fairly easy when you own a yard, and but I imagine you can find stuff around campus or near where you live. This these palm trees produce a lot of very strong, very very strong, like paper-like material. It's threaded. It's very strong, and even these little leaves can be used. Super strong is the stems, so maybe I'll try to use that as an example. So yeah, I think I'm gonna, at the very least, going to use some of it, and I got my Fiskars garden shears to cut a little bit of it out, these strands, and I'll see. I might not use it, but maybe it would be a good kind of top or roof or side to this sculpture I'm creating. So I don't know how, but I have. It's just that there's such an abundance of material out there. It's hard to kind of decide. Okay, I'll start with that. I have plenty of material out here, and go into my studio, tell my dog to be quiet, and yeah, we'll see. All right, welcome to this kind of a little tutorial on doing your environmental sculpture. And we're going to start with inspiration. We talked about inspiration in class, and I showed you some wonderful artists, but you have to deduce it down to who you want to possibly be inspired by. Maybe you're not inspired by anyone. Maybe you're inspired by some of the buildings around campus. Just go out and explore. Maybe don't just jump into the project. So, I'm looking around this beautiful book that I'm partly teaching from and getting some ideas. Maybe I want to go over to a sculpture book and get, ideas from. This is kind of cool. This is kind of organic looking. Can I shape, some wood to look like this, in some ways? It's absolutely okay to be inspired by other work. You're gonna make it your own, for sure. But yeah, let's look. I'm looking through these books, and maybe I have a bookmark that will knock down, what would be cool. That's sculpture. It's a massive sculpture book. We can go for a specific artist like Andy Goldsworthy, who we've gone over. I love this pattern. It's very cool. Be inspired by that and try to figure out some of the lashing, maybe even some of the lashing techniques, binding techniques from him. One of my favorites as well, where Not this one specifically, but ooh, wow, pretty cool. Stuff like this is pretty awesome. So yeah, inspired a little bit by him. Hopefully we're going to be learning some, developing this paper folding technique, and I'm already very inspired by some of these shapes, and hopefully this will be coming up in our sculpture class. So maybe thinking about this, or what about like some of my past work? I won't show you my photo pen and ink drawings, but I draw a lot of shapes already and have throughout the years, and just kind of playing with stuff. So maybe I should continue with some of this style and make it a lot more angular, you know, a lot more architectural. And speaking of architects, I collect architects books, and I'm very inspired by architects like Toyo Ito right here. His stuff is inspired by nature, you know, like he's inspired by a forest and trees, and so just like all these different ways of resources of being inspired that you can kind of like, you know, put a little bookmark on and say, oh, this is cool. I mean, look at this, for instance. This is really cool. Hopefully you see that. Even the drawings or the sketches of his architectural drawings are inspiring as well, you know. Very inspiring, cool building. So all these different possibilities are there for, and then when you get to it, you kind of just want to start sketching. I won't, you know, obviously I won't. And then when you're sketching, you know, maybe you want to use, yeah, you could start with, you know, use a triangle. You can get a smaller one that might fit in here easier, or something like that. But I love triangles, and often the triangles will have these circles that you can mess with and just play with stuff. Like, you know, maybe this is, you know, an idea. You start with like a triangle, and you know, I don't know, and it's putting notes like bind with colored thread. And maybe you have a pen collection that is multi-colored pens, like these micro lines. I absolutely love these pens, and you know, you do stuff like, although I think this is too small, but you know, you do weird things like this, or maybe, you know. So that's inspiration, and that's also sketching that we're kind of covering. And next, what do I have? I think I wrote this out. Write down notes as well. So let's say sketching, colored pens, materials and tools. So materials. Let's talk about tools first. You know, I got the pencil. I got the colored pens now. I got these pens. And then I have these shares. I particularly like Fiskar. I know they're more expensive, but it's a really nice company. And then, of course, Fiskars definitely need scissors. And, you know, I'm using some sort of ruler, you know, to do with my sketches, or maybe I even use it to help bind things or something. One thing that I have forgotten to mention is you could even, maybe I'll bring some in class. I don't have it handy, but are clamps, you know, so I have clamps somewhere. I won't get into it, but yeah, clamps are a possibility to use for binding. So tools. Now materials, I think I have a little video showing me going in the front yard and, you know, cutting, you know, this section off, you know, using this. And then I hopefully have a video of me going into the hardware store where, you know, maybe your main binding is, even though it's not very organic and you just bought it, and, you know, it's not recycled materials and not very friendly to the environment, but oh, this is really low quality. I got the lowest quality, but you can see how this is stretchy. So I'm gonna start with maybe binding two sticks together, something simple. Oh yeah, also I found a bunch of this twine just laying around in a box somewhere, and I've showed you this. I don't think I'm going to use this as a binding material. It's a little thin, but I would like to use it by threading. Maybe I would thread through this. See how it works. Something like this. Threading through here. And seeing how I could accent, like maybe these lines get threaded or something. Just making it more interesting and explorative. Or so yeah, that's I would probably use this more for aesthetic accents to the piece. Let your imagination run. Okay, let's see. Okay, binding technique. I'm just gonna bind these together. Actually, I kind of want, and I really feel like if I'm gonna bind it together, I kind of want to keep the branches. I don't want to cut these extra branches, so it's like you have these little these challenges, and let me see. I kind of like those branches, and kind of making it even. I'm just trying this out. I should have drew this. Oh yeah, I should have drew this out. Okay. Oh, I did. Sorry, I sketched it out. So let's look at my sketch. I'm gonna refer to my sketch when I started this whole thing. It's not very great sketch, but I want to try a triangle shape maybe. It has. Should have made this bigger. I'm gonna make this bigger. Make it lash it here. Yeah, that's such a bad. Then maybe I have a third in there, but I'll start with two just to see. Playing with your material. So I'm gonna use, just for kicks, I'm gonna use this. I feel like I'll start with small maybe I'll just start with just a little bit. Okay, try to maybe if I could do this, it'll still have enough. So I'm binding it together. Let's just, so start with, so it's almost like a tack weld. So get it enough so I can now bend it. You see how I'm bending it, right? Okay. It's almost like you need more than one. So I'm bending it, and then I'm going to have another strip. Swipe tape, and this particular kind of tape is so good. You could easily do this also with rope or twine as well. I'm just doing it with. So let's see, and then you can go underneath it. I have these branches. Now I'm actually happy that I decided to keep the excess branches. I think it adds a cool dimension to it. Okay, so I got that. I like that actually. But what if let me look for another. Oh, I totally forgot. You could also bind it in reeds, and that would be very special. But maybe instead today for this, I'll weave it in and out of the branches. Okay, so this is this cool little reed I got literally right outside the arts building. Okay. Let me see now. I know I have quite a selection of sticks that I got while camping. You know, I don't know why I decided to get stuff while camping. There's plenty of sticks around my yard and stuff, but you know, it was an adventure. So I want this to kind of work with this. And it's kind of a different kind of stick. So let's see. I'll just make this one about the same size, and I'll make it without extra weird branches. So I don't need. Maybe I'll make it a little taller so it splays out. Luckily, you have so much material. You can have so much material. You can make a mistake and kind of start over. And you know, I'm sort of making this up as I go along. One really important one thing I did not mention, and I should have, like, a lot of this is an old tradition of like building structures on like Native Americans and basket weaving, and so you take a lot of inspiration from some of these original artisans. So much respect to this craft of using these as building materials for building a structure to live in, things like that, to put water in with the baskets and so on and so on. So I mean, it's quite a long history. I don't know how successful. Maybe at this point I want to use rope or something, but you get the idea. I mean, look, I mean, it sort of stands up and has some flexibility to it. Okay, you do want to stand it up. You do want to play with, you know, with material and mix it up. And you know, now I'm thinking, you know, maybe I want, like, I really like this material, you know, but maybe I loosely wrap it around, or you know, but I want to do more to it. I don't want it to be, you know, I want to be, you know, mix it with a modern sculpture aesthetic. So I need to do more work on it, you know. I need to make it more deliberate. Maybe I need to, like I said, like, weave, you know. I think this whole thing could be 3 times bigger too, you know, because you also at the same time you have to try to avoid it looking like one of those pagan you know, symbols or something that you place to put a curse on people or something, you know what I mean. But maybe this gets, you know, somehow I get this on here. I guess glue could work, but here, this, you know, this is a really quick done together. Obviously you're gonna have hours upon hours to work on this, but you know, I've been playing with it and seeing what happens. I don't know, seeing how it goes. Maybe start something in here, or you know, but I could keep going. So that's just some ideas. I could make it stronger for sure. Like this little, not completely. These 2 sticks are very strongly bound together, but this one is still loose. So here, that's just an idea. Hopefully this is helpful. All right.